Good morning, 8th grade. Mr. Franklin here. Today we are going to continue with our work on the World War II unit. Today we're going to talk about a topic called American isolationism during World War II. We're going to talk about what isolationism is. We're going to talk about why America was an isolationist country during World War II. And we're also going to talk about how America slowly started to change from being an isolationist, naked child running through the house, an isolationist country to a country that was involved in the World War II conflict. So let's go ahead and get right to work, and we will be on with our day. All right, so we're going to be looking at a series of cartoons by this guy that you've probably heard of, and we'll get to it at the end. His real name was Theodore Geisel, but we're going to get to who he really was. So what was American isolationism? So isolationism is the belief that any country really, but in this particular instance, the United States should stay neutral, should stay out of international conflict so as to avoid American involvement in war. 94% of Americans were isolationists at the outbreak of World War II in 1938. Now we know that the World War II conflict happened in two areas. It happened in Asia and it happened in Europe. And when it broke out, Americans did not want us to become involved in that international conflict. So America should not be involved in World War II was the belief of isolationists. So why were Americans isolationists? So there were three main reasons why the majority of Americans were isolationists, aka not wanting to get involved in foreign entanglements or foreign wars. The first was the Great Depression. So the Great Depression drastically damaged the American economy, and many Americans believed that we did not have the ability economically to become involved in war. If we were to be involved in an international or global conflict, it would further damage our economy because, of course, fighting a war is an expensive ordeal. So that was reason number one, because of the Great Depression. The second reason was Americans had just become involved in World War I. I don't think anybody wanted to repeat the tragedy of World War I. We talked about World War I was the first major global conflict of mechanized war that involved every major nation in the world, and it resulted in millions of deaths. Hundreds of thousands of American soldiers were killed, missing, or wounded in action in World War I. And Americans did not want to repeat that. World War I veterans came back to the United States at the end of 1918 and 1919, maimed or injured, and spoke out against involving themselves in any kind of future global conflict. And lastly, there was a string of anti-Semitism in the United States. A very famous pilot named Charles Lindbergh, first man to solo fly around the world, was very anti-Semitic. And so anti-Semitism means a distrust or hatred of the Jewish people. And when Hitler rose to power in the mid to late 1930s, it was evident that he had a platform of anti-Semitism. And many Americans agreed with him. They believed Jews were a problem in the world. They believed Jews were nefarious. And so Hitler's policy of anti-Judaism was a policy that many Americans unfortunately agreed with. So we don't want to get involved with that. Maybe Hitler has the right to do what he's doing in Europe, many Americans would say. So what was some evidence? What was some evidence of Americans' isolationism? Well, we passed the Neutrality Act in 1935, which made it illegal for any American country to trade with countries involved in international conflict. So if you made tanks, if you made guns, if you made bullets, if you made any kind of bandages or supplies, it was illegal for you to buy, sell, or trade with countries involved in those conflicts. Because again, 94% of Americans wanted us to stay out of involvement in these international conflicts. Was America really neutral, though? Most historians say that we weren't really neutral, that while Americans had a belief in neutrality and isolationism, that politicians were influenced by businesses in order to slowly make us not neutral. Because war is, you got to remember, there's a lot of money to be made in war. War is big business. And so American manufacturers, American business leaders started slowly pressuring Congress to pass laws giving them the ability to buy, sell, and trade with foreign powers involved in war. And so we had two policies, two laws that were passed. First policy was cash and carry. Warring nations can buy U.S. arms as long as they pay cash and transport them in their own ships. The second is Lend-Lease, passed by FDR to provide arms and supplies to any country whose defense was vital for the U.S. So the Lend-Lease Act really was the major indication the United States was not neutral, right? If we're passing a law that says we're allowed to provide weapons to a country that is beneficial to the United States, that's going to take us from neutrality to involvement. It's going to take us from isolationism to involvement. So it really didn't take Pearl Harbor, which is going to be the event that's going to change Americans' minds, to cause us to stop to be neutral. What it took was Congress and President Roosevelt passing laws. So who was this guy, Theodore Geisel? This is Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss was a cartoonist in the United Kingdom, so he was British, and he opposed American isolationism. He wanted America to get involved in World War II and help England. Because you got to remember, at the outbreak of World War II, the last European stronghold against Hitler was England. And England wanted us involved. I love this political cartoon right here. I'm going to expand this and make this a little bigger so you can see it. Let's make this go bye-bye so we can talk about it. Dr. Seuss. So here's his cartoon. And he has a bird, and it's got like a, you can't see it, but it's got a star cap on. So this is supposed to represent the American bald eagle, our international, symbol for the United States. And this eagle says, ho hum, when he's finished pecking down the last tree, he'll likely be tired. So we have Norway, Denmark, Greece, Yugoslavia, etc. We have basically the Nazis, represented by this bird, destroying all the trees that represent the countries of the world. The last tree standing is England. And here you have America over by itself saying it's really not going to bother me. What is Dr. Seuss saying? He's saying that Nazism will hurt America. Even though America thinks it's off by itself, it's not going to be damaged by Hitlerism and Nazism, Dr. Seuss is saying that once England is destroyed, America is going to be next. And so this cartoon is arguing that America should not be isolationist. America should be involved in World War II. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So your work today, you're going to continue your work today talking about World War II. You're going to do a reading on American isolationism, answer some questions. You're going to examine that political cartoon that I just walked with you through. And you're going to continue to get smarter about World War II. Tomorrow, we will do our full shout-outs. We'll do our full engagement. Today, I want you to focus on what isolationism is. Have a great day. Love you guys. Talk to you later.